I now give the floor to Mr. Mohamed Al-Hassan.
Madam President, distinguished representative of council members, allow me to begin by expressing my joy to seeing a dear friend and a colleague preside over the work of the Security Council. Let me express my profound appreciation to members of this esteemed council for their attention, support, and guidance. I'm so delighted to see the distinguished representative of Iraq and Kuwait participate in today's session. A word of gratitude must be given to the Secretary General of the United Nations for his continued engagement in the Middle East, including his recent visit to Baghdad for the Arab Summit. Madam President, distinguished representatives, between my last report 6 months ago and now, so many things have happened in Iraq, which I will not list here. However, with your permission, I would like to mention the most notable developments, at the forefront of which is Iraq's drive towards more stability, more prosperity, and closer regional integration. My profound appreciation goes to the government of Iraq for the humanitarian aid it has provided to the people of Gaza, Lebanon, Yemen, and Syria, not to mention its support to the new peace initiative between Turkey and the Kurdistan Workers' Party, which, if implemented in good faith, would bring peace, security, and stability to the region at large. Madam President, distinguished representatives, Iraq is well on its way to another national parliamentary election set for 11th November this year. Iraq's independent High Electoral Commission, with UNAMI technical support, are making notable progress in preparing for this election. Voter registration is set to conclude in the coming days, and nearly 3/4 of total voters have completed biometric registration so far. Yes, there are challenges, including logistical concerns, but IHEC is committed to doing its best towards a free, fair, and transparent election with the participation of all Iraqis without fear and intimidation. UNAMI will spare no effort in providing the most professional technical support towards this end, including efforts to promote the widest participation of women, youth, and minorities. Meanwhile, 6 months after the successful parliamentary election in Kurdistan region of Iraq last October, the formation of a regional government is still pending. Needless to say, a spirit of compromise, focusing on shared objectives rather than partisan division, is the key to overcome this protracted impasse. There is no doubt in my mind that the concerned parties in the Kurdistan region of Iraq will be able to form a competent government that will serve the interest of the people of Kurdistan region of Iraq and Iraq at large. Here, I would further like to emphasize that the Baghdad-Erbil relationship is a partnership that necessitates ongoing dialogue and collaboration, grounded in the Constitution of Iraq, to effectively address and resolve any outstanding issues between the two sides. Madam President, distinguished colleagues, more than 800 Iraqis returned 10 days ago from Al-Hol camp in northeast Syria to Al-Amal Center in Iraq, showing the government of Iraq's commitment to accelerating the return process of its citizens with the support of the United Nations. It is nevertheless essential that adequate resources are invested in supporting a dignified reintegration of returning families and in ensuring a fair judicial process for the detainees who are being repatriated. And while Iraq continues to make important strides in addressing returns from northeast Syria, the situation of Iraq's internally displaced persons continue to demand urgent attention. Hundreds of thousands of individuals remain displaced in Iraq, including 100,000 primarily Yazidis from Sinjar, who live in ID camps and informal settlements throughout Iraq under precarious conditions. Yes, the government of Iraq's recent recognition of Yazidis' land rights with over 1,300 ownership letters and nearly 100 titles deeds distributed this year was a significant milestone. The Iraqi government has also been proactive in offering compensation to Yazidi survivors and other minorities. However, creating sustainable conditions for the returns require more coherent political, administrative, and security measures, in addition to significant investment in job creation and local services. The government of Iraq needs to accelerate the adoption of a comprehensive national plan for durable solution. The return process cannot just be physical relocation. It needs to be a meaningful process that rebuilds lives, livelihoods, and hope for the future. I'm going to speak now in Arabic.
I say it clearly. The Yazidis in Iraq have been greatly harmed in a manner that cannot be described, have been harmed by Daesh, and we, the United Nations, through you, and with your support, call upon those concerned in Iraq and in neighboring states to take all the necessary measures to protect this sect and to return dignity and appreciation and humanitarian status to this sect, especially since, and to this very day, a number of persons from this sect are in a state of semi-detention after Daesh has swept away their lives when it swept through the region. We think it is important to put an end to this injustice that has been imposed on the Yazidi Iraqi people and to guarantee their return to their homes and to the areas in dignity and in pride.
Madam President, distinguished representative, commitments to human rights is at the heart of Iraq's stability and development. In January, Iraq was reviewed by the Human Rights Council under the Universal Periodic Review, a process designed to support and expand the promotion and protection of human rights in every country. A total of 263 recommendations are currently being considered by Iraq for adoption at the next session of Human Rights Council. Progress is also being made on a draft law on minority rights and towards the adoption of a national strategy to counter hate speeches. The United Nations is ready to continue supporting these and other human rights initiatives and engage with the government of Iraq, our partner and the partner to the United Nations, in exploring options for continuing such support after UNAMI's departure. I'll speak in Arabic again.
And among the human rights files and those that must be dealt with urgently and with no delay is that of those who have been disappeared and those who are in jail without any legal and just and transparent trials. However, we have great trust in the Iraqi judiciary, and we hope that all of these matters will be resolved in accordance with Iraqi laws and regulations, and in a manner that returns hope to the thousands of families that have long waited to know the fate of their loved ones. We believe that an Iraq of the future must be in harmony amongst itself and with its neighbors, and Iraq is able to do that on a basis of equality and justice for all. And here I mean equality and justice for all Iraqis, regardless of their belongings. This is the Iraq of the future that we aspire to, and we fully trust that Iraq and the Iraqis will be able to achieve this future vision.
President, distinguished representative, turning to the issue of missing Kuwaiti and third country nationals, I welcome the increase in field missions and the use of advanced technologies to identify national burial sites. However, there is a need to redouble these efforts, strengthen cooperation and coordination, including in the search of witnesses towards finding the remains of 300 Kuwaiti missing persons, and provide long overdue answer to their families. I also reiterate the importance to expedite the search to locate and return missing property, including the National Archives of Kuwait, especially after the recent welcome decision to reactivate the Iraq-Kuwait Joint Committee on Missing Kuwaiti Property. On other outstanding issues between Iraq and Kuwait, the resumption of meetings of the Iraq-Kuwait Joint Technical and Legal Committees concerned with the delimitation of the maritime border beyond marker 162 is a welcome development. Continued efforts to rebuild trust and confidence between the two brotherly countries are essential for forging a more stable and cooperative future.
Moreover, we greatly value the positions of the Iraqi president and the Iraqi prime minister in terms of the decision taken by the Supreme Constitutional Court on the so-called Khor Abdullah Agreement. We confirm the need to take decisions that would preserve security and stability and guarantee respect for the principles of the United Nations Charter and good neighborliness and non-interference in internal affairs. And here we renew UNAMI's offer to present and offer its good offices here should both sides ask it to. Moreover, allow me here to mention the fact that the state of Kuwait was the victim of an invasion. And for us to be able to have closure, we must work together and seriously to rebuild trust. This requires practical measures and promises that are fulfilled on the ground, away from any politicization, and while focusing on what brings the two countries and the two sisterly peoples together, and on what would bolster partnership and positive relations. Focus must be made on what brings us together and not what sets us apart.
Distinguished representatives, with just over 6 months remaining before UNAMI's mandate ends, I would like to assure members of the Council that the mission continues to pursue a structured transition according to schedule and in close cooperation with the government of Iraq, whom I would like to warmly thank for their help, assistance, and coordination. I would also like to report to the esteemed Council that we have closed UNAMI offices in Mosul, Al-Mawsil باللغة العربية, and Kirkuk, and we are gradually reducing our staffing levels, seeking to balance the mission drawdowns with our continuing mandated task. And this, as you are aware, in a context of serious financial constraints impacting the United Nations as a whole. I wish to reiterate my confidence in the resilience of the Iraqi people and the determination of their leaders. Iraq is a nation of profound history, strength, potential, and pride. By working together, Iraqis can continue to make meaningful strides towards further stability, further prosperity, and human rights for all. وأختتم.
And in closing, I would like to reiterate my complete trust and confidence in Iraq and Iraqis and the ability of this great country, which is among the founding members of the United Nations, to regain its status among the nations. We at the United Nations, and I personally, are committed to supporting and helping Iraq and the Iraqi people as much as we can. We will spare no effort in our cooperation and our assistance because we believe in this country and its potential and its capacities and the capabilities of its people. I thank you.
I thank Mr. Al Hassan for his briefing.